Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Only as Lonely, the podcast where I share my story of a solitary journey around the world, seeing sights, singing songs, taking photos, performing, and all the funny little interactions in between. It's episode 10, and thank you if you're still with me. I feel like we've reached a milestone with 10. So I'm so far into this now that I can't really go back. So hopefully you're with me for the long haul. So we're in New Zealand, and I'm driving to Wellington to have my first gig at a folk night. I've stopped over in a lay-by on a country road, and there's not much more to say really. So let's crack on, shall we? September the 20th, 2009. Again, not a great night's sleep. The odd bangs sending me off into a paranoid, ultra-defensive state, looking out of the window and seeing no one there. But I'd never seen so many stars before, as my breath steamed up the glass. When I awoke, the sun was low in the sky, and to try to get some heat into the bus, I put the stove on. The heater doesn't work if you're not plugged into a campsite, and we were still in the late winter or early spring. It took a few attempts to get it up and running. Clearly, there must be a knack to this, I thought. I took a couple of pictures from the view from the sliding door on the bus. The cows were chomping on the grass in the field directly in front of me, and the sun was rising behind them. It seemed pretty special. Okay, so it was just some cows in a field and the sun was coming up. But when it's all yours and no one else's, and let's not forget, it's not something that I'd see on a daily basis before, the moment holds so much more value. To have this all to myself, I kind of took stock of what was being given to me here. I was going to take it all in and take it gratefully. I felt relaxed and took my time, sitting with a nice cup of hot diluted coffee paste. As it got warmer, I sat on the step and played my guitar. I started to practice a set for the gig I was going to play that evening. The cows came over, such inquisitive animals that they are. Good morning, ladies. I'm going to play you a few songs. The next one's a love song. I'd like to dedicate this to the cheeky little lady with the wonderful set of bottom teeth and a firm pair of udders. Yeah, I was talking to the cows, but I don't care. I was working on my stagecraft with the audience. They walked off after a bit, though. Nothing I said could bring them back, even to offer to play any requests. Still, nothing. I even offered to play something by the band Moose. See what I did there? Moose. I hit the road not having any kind of understanding of how long it would take to get to Wellington. I knew where I had to be, but I didn't have a map of Wellington. I thought I'd get there and just ask for directions. The sun was shining, and I had a sense of really being in the present moment. If I see something, I'll stop, and if something happens or something comes along, I'll deal with it. It was a liberating feeling. I had no ties, nothing to worry about, and I was simply enjoying driving my bus in the sun with a fantastic local radio station playing. I couldn't be happier. I was free.
Driving, baby. Headed to Wellington.
I was also starting to get used to being on my own more and more. One thing that I did notice as I was heading down Highway 1 was the road signs detailing what speed you should go at. They don't go for the subtle approach in New Zealand. No. They show a picture of a body bag with a foot hanging out the bottom and a tag tied to the big toe saying, "Went over the speed limit." They really try and push the idea of not speeding, which is not a bad thing, but I must admit I was finding some of the signs quite funny. The speed limit is 100 kilometres per hour, which works out at about 62 miles per hour. Then I see a sign which would have a picture of a bullet with wheels on it, basically portraying that if you go over 62 miles per hour, you are actually going as fast as a bullet. Some of the other signs were even less subtle. They were as good as saying, "Go over 62 miles per hour and you will die." Rather dramatic, I thought. It was great weather, and with great tunes I happily followed Highway 1 as it became what we would conventionally call a motorway. For most of the trip, the highway was nothing more than a conventional A road. But for God's sake, do not hit 63 miles per hour. Instant death, apparently. It was about midday as the motorway swept along the coast past Petone. It looked gorgeous, as there wasn't a cloud in the sky and the sea was a rich blue. I had reached the very south of the North Island.
I feel the spray on my face as I run down to the lake, yeah. And it's my choice to bend or break, but that's the risk I'll take, yeah. 'Cause she's worth it. In the beginning we put it down to fate. We were young, we enjoyed the chase. Years have gone by so long ago. Let these unrestrained feelings flow. Oh, I let these feelings grow into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Peacefully she rests with me. Rhythmically we feel our hearts beat. With hand in mind we intertwine, sharing hidden times and fashion crimes. Let the sparks fly. In the beginning we put it down to fate. We were young, we enjoyed the chase. Years have gone by so long ago. Let these unrestrained feelings flow. Oh, I let these feelings grow into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Remember when we made our mark on that old oak tree in the dark? And I can't help but reminisce of that very first loving kiss. How could I forget? But in the beginning we put it down to fate. We were young, we enjoyed the chase. The years have gone by so long ago. Let these unrestrained feelings flow. Oh, I let these feelings grow into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Into tomorrow. Into tomorrow.
So that was a track called Into Tomorrow. On trumpet, you heard trumpet there, that was Mr. Dan Hartland. He's a fantastic singer-songwriter, very talented chap, all-round nice bloke. Quite the wordsmith as well. You might be hearing a bit more about him in the next episode. I entered the city in the bus following the coastal road beside the harbour that led towards the main city centre and seafront. I decided I would follow my nose. The address suggested to me that such a building would be signposted. I asked for directions and the person misinformed me, telling me to take a turn too early. It was a dead end. I was there, in the bus, about to be forced into a 3-point turn manoeuvre. This was something I had not wanted to do, but my hand was forced here. Visibility was poor in the bus, and I'd have to just go with it on instinct. I swore at the situation, then hoped for the best as I checked my mirrors to see if anyone was around me. Going forward was the easy part. It's the reversing that's daunting. I didn't have a banksman to help me. I did the 3-point turn. Well, it was more like a 5-point turn. Behind me, a guy in a red car had patiently waited, giving me plenty of space. After the manoeuvre, we made eye contact, and I waved to thank him for patiently waiting for me. He gave me a thumbs up and a look of respect. Oh yes, king of the road. 5-point turn, nailed it. With the help of my guidebook that actually had a map of the centre of Wellington, I eventually found the venue, which was a modest community centre type of building. I parked around the back and called Mary, who had booked me. She agreed to meet me in a few hours and pick me up and feed me. Great! You'd expect the capital city to be much bigger, but it seems about half the size of Auckland. It sits between steep hills and is somewhat contained even because of those hills and the water's edge. Wellington is where you can catch the ferry across the Cook Strait to the South Island. It has a busy marina and popular seafront with a recently built large national museum on the water's edge. So Wellington was mine for a while on this Sunday afternoon. I had a stroll through the town, updated Facebook in an internet cafe, bought some sunglasses and grabbed a snack. It's a nice, clean, modern city with a cosmopolitan flavour, and I like it. It boasts a sophisticated cafe society and is considered the cultural capital with its thriving art scene, whilst Auckland competes for its dominance. Auckland is the larger of the two cities and it's generally considered to have a bit of a chip on its shoulder because it's not the capital. I took a stroll down to the seafront. Despite there not being a cloud in the sky, there was still a cool breeze blowing and it was crisp. To be expected because I was, after all, in windy Wellington. The Cook Strait being a channel of strong winds, and the streets lined with buildings also seemed to create small channels to focus the breeze. I walked along the seafront, taking my time and thinking back to nearly 5 years earlier. I'd strolled along the same stretch, but under such different circumstances. I was feeling a little sentimental, thinking about the ex. I'd literally travelled to the furthest point from home I could go just to be with her. Here I was again. My sentimental reflection was only increased when I sat on the promenade and listened to a guy playing bagpipes, wearing all the proper Scottish gear, kilt, sporran, the lot. It made me feel closer to home, and the Celtic sounds reminded me of my Irish nan, and also reminded me of my Uncle John and his 40th birthday party where he'd hired a bagpipe player. He had a DJ as well. Just want to say, it wasn't just some bloke on bagpipes in the corner playing the ABBA medley, then followed it with the Grease medley. I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest with you. Earlier, I was feeling comfortable being alone. I thought I was used to it, comfortable with it, But this little bit of sentimentality snapped me right back to the earlier ways of thinking. The solitude was going to prove difficult, but only when I thought about it too much and started thinking deeply, becoming introverted. I'd have to snap out of it and find something to do. So it was great to find Plymouth's Ark Gallery, located on the waterfront, which had a photo exhibition of amazing photojournalism. Most of the photos taken during a moment of conflict and chaos. What dedication these photographers had to be framing, focusing and shooting away when they were in such a dangerous situation and someone was trying to shoot them, but not in a photographic sense. They were brave, dedicated, mental, most likely all three. I had a call. It was Mary. She was on her way and about 20 minutes later she picked me up. What a warm lady she is. A fellow Pommy. She had an aura about her that made me instantly feel relaxed in her company. She was very easy to talk to. She's a marine biologist. She lived with her husband and daughter in the suburbs of Wellington. And what a house on a hill. A large wooden structure. It was like something I'd only seen in films or like American TV shows about desperate housewives. We went round the back and were greeted by her old dogs, and then we entered her kitchen. I fell in love with this house. God, I'd love to have a place like that one day. Such character. There was a large old-fashioned burner in the corner of the room, a large open-plan kitchen with large windows and furniture jotted around. With a piano in the lounge and other references, it was obvious that music played a huge part of this household, although Mary admitted that it was mainly her passion. She let me play her guitar and I sang her some of my songs while she prepared dinner, and she really enjoyed it. Whilst dinner was cooking, she sang some of her songs and shared her poetry, divulging the stories behind them. We really connected and spoke music all through dinner until it was time to head to the venue. When we got to the community centre, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never really been to a folk club night before. Needless to say, the combined age was probably 874. There weren't even that many people there. But they welcomed me and were friendly. I actually met an old fella, very dapper in his suit, whose grandfather was from Birmingham. Everyone was drinking tea or coffee. There was no alcohol here. There was a little stage with a banner behind it saying something like Wellington Folk Club. It had the same kind of atmosphere that you'd expect from a weekly parish meeting. I could imagine Mary saying after my set, "Thanks, Dan. Now, everyone, I must remind you that next week is the school fete. We're going to have a tombola, a bouncy castle, and I'll have a cake stand." Mary was hosting the night. She played 3 songs, as did a number of people. Some were better than others. Some were proper old-school folk. It was a very easy-going affair, and to be honest, the age thing was no big deal. At the end of the day, these were other singer-songwriters of various abilities and experience, and above all, they were respectful and attentive. Everyone listened. And after everyone else had played 3 songs, it was my turn to get up. And so after being introduced by Mary, I was about to rock Wellington. Hello, Wellington! A couple of people turned their hearing aids down. Only joking, I didn't really do that. There wasn't a mic. There wasn't even a mic. It was an unplugged gig. I didn't feel at all nervous. I was pretty relaxed, comfortable. I played a few songs and it seemed to go down really well. It actually made a change to play to people who listened. Back home in bars, it's rare that you actually get people listening, and this can leave you wondering why you even bother, especially if you've driven a long way, just to play 4 songs that aren't even heard. It's not about getting adulation or feeding the ego, but it's simply because, you know, when you pour your heart and soul into songs that you've written that are very emotionally driven, you know, coming from various experiences that you've been through, and you're kind of reliving them when you sing them to get the emotion, to get the feeling into them, you know, and it's demoralising when no one is taking a blind bit of notice. It can be a thankless task sometimes. Tonight, that was not the case. I was offered the opportunity to play at another venue in Wellington. I'd have to keep an eye on my email. Also, I sold a couple of CDs. Little Mary in her bright multicoloured cardigan/coat. I couldn't work out whether it was a cardigan or a coat. It was multicoloured. I mean, it was jazzy. Definitely, you know, couldn't help but pay attention when she was on stage. But Mary wanted to buy a CD as well. Now, I couldn't take money from her. It's only a CD, you know. And to me, her time, her kindness and her feeding me was worth way more than that. I didn't know where I could park up for the night in the bus. Some of the guys suggested Petone, which was a little bit further around the coast. They said that would be a good place, so after giving Mary a big hug, she let me and the bus follow her back to Highway 1, to follow the coastal road back round past the harbour towards Petone. I'd stayed there last time I was in New Zealand, although I had a nice room with a shower that didn't leave me screaming like a girl. Tonight, I was going to sleep facing the beach and the sea. I found a car park that was fairly secluded. I was nervous that the police might move me along. It was another cold night. And so again, I had to sleep with my hat on and fully clothed under the duvet. What a good day, though. I'd met a lovely soul in Mary. I wrote in my journal that this is what life is all about. It was to be an early start the next day. I had to catch the ferry to go to the South Island. And there you go. That was that.
Do you like that?
That was my first gig in New Zealand. First proper gig. Hope you enjoyed that episode. So let's talk about the day. What a great start to the day. Opening up the countryside, that amazing view. Beautiful. Really special. And my mood really lifted from that point on. I felt comfortable. I felt a real sense of freedom. I had somewhere to be, but I could take my time. And like I said earlier, if I saw something that took my fancy, if I wanted to take some photos or something, or if I saw something that I wanted to explore a bit further, I could do it. Just stop the bus, get out, have a look. Yeah, I had complete autonomy. No ties, no pressure. I'll tell you what was amazing, the local radio station. Oh my God, such great tunes, like funk and soul, acid jazz. Oh, the sun was shining. I'm bombing it along, at a rapid 62 miles per hour. No more than that. I don't want to die. But yeah, incredible. Such a good feeling. And I genuinely thought, that's it now. I'm sorted now. I'm in the vibe. I've got this. I've overcome my fears. I am now a comfortable, solitary traveller, lone wolf, and I'm comfortable with that. Nah. And it's surprising that when you get reminded of home or reminded of the past, suddenly you snap out of that and then you start to feel lonely again. I couldn't call my family, they were in bed. And obviously there was reminiscing about 4 or 5 years earlier when I'd been walking along exactly the same promenade with the ex. And that is the thing with being alone, isn't it? You get caught up in your thoughts. Sometimes it's not always a healthy thing. Sometimes you can end up in a kind of downward spiral mentally. It's not always healthy. And that's why it's so important sometimes to have those interactions with people. Having that interaction with Mary, who was a wonderful, warm, amazing person. She really looked after me. Who was I? I was just some bloke. And she picks me up, takes me to her home, feeds me. She's totally comfortable, totally easygoing. And I don't know many people who would do that to a stranger, if I'm honest. Yeah, and what great company she was. Just talking music, sharing songs, and she shared her poetry and telling us stories and sharing experiences. It was really special, and it helped snap me out of that negative, downward, sentimental gloom, I suppose. And then similarly going to that venue and playing the gig. Okay, I was the youngest there by far. But it doesn't matter. They're all just people who enjoy going out, live music, acoustic music. And again, lovely, warm, friendly people. Having those interactions with people, meeting new people, having new conversations. And again, that snaps you out of that loneliness. So that when I did go to park in the evening, my mind wasn't in a negative space. I wasn't feeling lonely. I wasn't feeling alone. I'd had some interactions with somebody. I guess it kind of highlights how important it is to talk to people. When you shut yourself away, sometimes you can end up in a negative space. And interactions with people, even strangers, can sometimes be a welcome distraction from that, The gig itself, I'm up on stage, quite a low stage, looking out at this community centre and just losing myself in my songs. It's always nice when your songs are well received and people enjoy them. And a good measure of if you've done okay is if somebody wants to buy your CD. Fortunately, I sold a couple of CDs. Couldn't sell a CD to Mary, bless her. Oh, how much is one of these CDs? Put your money away. Have 3 CDs. Go on, use them as coasters. Yeah, lovely city. Wellington, very windy, just as well I was bald, so that doesn't mess my hair up. So being bald has its advantages. But a lovely clean city, I thought, from what I saw of it, and people were friendly and warm, and yeah, lovely, really nice place. Of course, it also helps when the weather's really good. Everywhere looks better in the sunshine, doesn't it? Everybody loves the sunshine. Great track by Roy Ayers, by the way. You should put that on your playlist for summer. So quite a short one today. I did a bit of driving, had a walk around, had a mooch about, and then played a gig. That was it. So I returned to Petone, and I parked in this car park that it had a little bit of seclusion. I think there was probably either a fence or some bushes that I could kind of park behind, but still I felt a little bit exposed. Now, yes, it's a town. Yes, there's a road right next to it. I'm on the beachfront, but I felt quite exposed because if you imagine it's a flat plain, you've got a car park and then a beach and then the sea, and then there's this great big huge bus there. You stand out, and when you stand out, you sometimes feel a bit exposed, don't you? And I didn't know if the police were going to move me on. I was a bit nervous, or if somebody saw the bus and thought, oh, should we try and nick it, or should we try and break in, or what? Because it stands out so much, Sometimes you do like to just blend in and just not be so obvious. Fortunately, nothing happened, as you know. But yeah, buffeted by the wind because it was quite exposed to the seafront as well. But thank you for listening to this. Thank you for being part of this journey with me as I relive it. It's a pleasure to have you here listening along. Please feel free to check out onlyaslonely.wordpress.com to find out more, see clips, videos, listen to tracks, see photos, and please share, like, subscribe, all that jazz. You know the score. Tell somebody else if you know somebody who might enjoy this as well. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to the South Island. So, I'll see you there. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.